I just hated anyone going anywhere near my midsection. So even if my wife was going to give me a hug, I'd almost be like, can you not do it in a certain way? Because I just hated being touched. I was having a conversation with my dad. He was saying, oh, that's great. Now you can take your child to the park and you can go cycling with them and you can do this and you can do that. That's when the penny dropped and I was thinking, I don't know if I can actually do all of that. I think I actually got in touch with you the next day. People saying, do you really need to be so militant with calorie counting and getting your minimum 10,000 steps? Why would I not want to do my 10,000 steps? Why would I not want to stick to my meal plan? And I get to. I have this great opportunity to improve my life, my presence and relationships with my family. I get to do that. So why am I not doing that? I feel healthier. I feel like I want to live rather than just exist. It has improved our relationship as well. Like instead of us almost leading two separate lives and being completely disconnected, by having that kind of hug and having that kind of conversation, it feels like we're one again.
Okay, so Nikhil, take me back almost 2 years now. What were the series of moments that led to your trigger moment to think, right, enough's enough, I need to take action?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few things I'd say. So I'd actually seen one of my friends on Instagram who had done RNT, and I thought, I remember what you used to look like, and are you sure that this is you? And I just couldn't believe it. But for me, it was a series of things, as I said. So the first was I just hated anyone going anywhere near my midsection. So even if my wife was going to give me a hug, I'd almost be like, can you not do it in a certain way? Because I just hated being touched in that area, even to the extent of certain types of clothes. So if I could feel my stomach rubbing against my clothes, I just felt really uncomfortable. So, and if I had to wear that the whole day, it just put me in a bad mood for the whole day. So I just thought, well, this is clearly ridiculous and I need to do something about it. But I would say the main trigger was actually when my wife became pregnant with our first child, because all I was thinking was, I remember what it was like to have my parents have the energy to run around with me and how much I value and cherish that. And if my daughter and my son now as well, if they're looking to have the same thing, I'm not going to be able to do that. And that really scared the hell out of me. So I thought, okay, I need to change to have the energy for them. I want to make sure that they've got the right memories. But also it was around, I wanted to make sure that I was equipping them to lead their life in the best way possible by making sure that they've got the right mentality and the right relationship with food and other people. So it's not just about feeling fit and healthy, but it's about, having those difficult conversations. If another person's saying, oh, do this, do that, what's wrong with you? Why are you not living, kind of thing. So be able to teach them to do those kinds of things. And my philosophy has always been, if I'm trying to teach you a lesson, I've got to be able to live by that same example. So that was the key.
So what was the moment? Was it when your wife told you she's pregnant?
Yeah, I thought, okay, things need to change now.
And did you know that your weight was a problem?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I suppose it was like a slow burner for me to get there. So especially after COVID lockdown and everything, it was a bit of a slow burner. I hit 3 digits on the scales in terms of kilos, which I'd never had before. And even just running around, like even just trying to catch the train before I left, out of breath. And I was thinking, what on earth is this? I'll make excuses like, maybe it's long COVID or things like that. Anything to just try and justify my position.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the trigger moment for sure.
How did it feel when your wife or anyone tried to argue then? What was going on in your head?
Get off me now. This is really uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, it gets to an extent where I would suck in just so that my stomach wasn't sticking out as much as what I would like for it to. So I'd suck in and almost hold my breath because, yeah, I just felt like, I don't know if an element would be, are you going to judge me for being overweight? Not that it's about what other people think, but it was just, I just felt really uncomfortable. So yeah, I mean, that put a bit of a strain on my relationship with my wife as well. Not that it's all around physical intimacy or anything, but it was just like, yeah, she's obviously thinking, well, am I doing something wrong? Have I offended you? And is there a reason why you don't want me to be anywhere near you, kind of thing? Obviously nothing to do with her at all. And that did affect our relationship because, like I said, because I wasn't comfortable, not even necessarily just being touched, but because I just wasn't comfortable in my own body, I didn't realize. But now reflecting, I was in a bad mood, or I'd be stressed out, constantly tired, not able to deal or comprehend my emotions. And that obviously had a knock-on impact in terms of the relationships around me.
And was that not enough of a spur for you to take action? Or at the time, did you think of something else, or what was going through your head?
Well, so I mean, I thought, let me try and do this myself. And let me
Okay.
see if, okay, because I think I had the typical view of, all right, I just need to go to the gym more. So I try and go to the gym, not necessarily having the right technique, not necessarily having the right mentality of pushing myself, because I've learned now that mind and body are two different things, in the sense of my mind might give up on pushing weights or something, whereas my body's got plenty more in the tank, and it's just trying to align the two together. So I was kicking the can down the road, and then I realized, no, actually, that's probably, I don't know, 20% of what I need to do. 80% is more around nutrition. I need to fix my diet, and everything around that. So that was then the trigger point.
Amazing. So you found out your wife was pregnant. What was the next step then? Did you start cleaning the cupboards, or was there delayed action?
It was a bit of a delayed action, because I suppose the first thing was, I mean, everything was planned, so we were hoping and expecting this. But even when the news came, it was like, oh my God, there's a lot to do. So even just trying to get things ready in terms of, okay, what do we need to do around the house, or what do we need to do in terms of our jobs, making sure that we can actually accommodate all of this kind of stuff. And then it came to a point where I was having a conversation with my dad, and he was saying, oh, that's great, you can take your child to the park and you can go cycling with them, and you can do this and you can do that. And then that's when the penny dropped, and I was thinking, oh, well, I don't know if I can actually do all of that, because I'm struggling to do that now. So yeah, and then I think I actually got in touch with you the next day to say, okay, things needs to happen.
Fair enough, to action then quick.
Yeah.
And then you kickstarted your journey January 3rd, 2022. Talk me through the process of getting started and how you found this essentially a lifestyle overhaul for you and your family.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a challenge, mainly because I suppose I was trying to do, in my mind, I was putting it as I'm going from one extreme to the other, where I had free reign on absolutely everything, and now I'm restricting myself. But that was the complete wrong mentality, because what I've since learned is that it's not about restricting myself, it's just a matter of choice. What am I choosing? Am I choosing to have this piece of chocolate, or am I choosing to have more energy? So either way, it's a win-win situation, because I'm going to get some kind of fulfillment out of it. But what do I want more? What is the long-term strategy? So it took some time for me to switch that mindset, and it probably took an even longer amount of time for my family to support and accommodate that, because my family has been they've always got this mentality of, oh, the more you can eat, the greater kudos you can get, kind of thing. It's a bit of a weird mentality. So it was a challenge, but I knew what my purpose was in terms of having all of this energy for my kids and trying to set that example. So I went all in. I really did. So yeah, I think in overall it was quite good.
And what was your conversation that you had with your wife when you said, I want to try and lose weight and get my health back?
So initially she said, really? Are you sure you want to do all of this kind of stuff? Because I don't think she realized how much weight I'd put on either.
Oh, wow.
So and how unfit I was as well. Because it was literally, that's what I'm saying, it was literally that much of a slow burner. So she was like,
death
really?
by 1,000 cuts.
Big time. Yeah. No, big time. And it's now when she looks back at the pictures that I was at, she was like, oh, I didn't realize you were actually as overweight as that. So initially she was just like, she was I think she was a little bit nervous because there is this like connotation that if you're going to do this kind of transformation, you've got to put a lot of time and effort and energy into it. And understandably, she was thinking, well, if that's the case, what does that mean for me when I'm trying to go through this pregnancy and about to have a newborn? But the conversation that we had, I mean, she was awesome with it, very, very supportive. But once we break it down, we realized actually it's not as time consuming as what a person might think. Like if you think about the fact that it's very natural for a person to get up and go to work, you're spending 8-9 hours dedicated to just work, ironing your shirt, having breakfast, traveling in, doing the work, traveling back, all that kind of stuff. And everything that we're trying to do in terms of this transformation and just trying to be more healthy is nowhere near as time consuming as any of those things, but you're actually getting a significantly more a stronger benefit. It's a no-brainer. So once we had that kind of conversation, she was awesome. So she would help me have the argument if there was an argument with family members who just didn't understand or thought I was crazy. She was really kind to, although she had cravings, she was really kind to not eat certain things in front of me. Gave me tips on how to vary up my my meal plans just so I wasn't eating the same type of stuff every day. So yeah, she was amazing. And I think it's really important to have that kind of support network because otherwise I know I would have struggled.
What was she saying to your haters then? How did she? What sort of stuff? Fun.
Well, yeah. So she was saying, well, she can be pretty blunt in a really nice way. So she can say, well, what's it to you, kind of thing. You are choosing to be vegetarian. Why don't you eat meat? Because it's a personal choice. You're choosing I'm vegan, but no one's coming up to me saying why you're not eating this, why you're not eating that, because it's a personal choice. So just now, Nikhil's doing the exact same thing, but he's choosing to do this for the benefit of himself, the family, etc. You're probably going to reap some kind of benefit from this as well, because I can already see improvement in his mood and emotion. So something for you to learn by. So they said they took that on board and slowly started to become accommodating as well, which is good.
That's a very good good line, good couple lines there.
Yeah.
So how far pregnant were you? Were your journey?
My daughter was born beginning of May, so I started beginning of January. So yeah, 5 months.
And then your
5
second
months
one
was born.
Your second one came?
Second one came exactly 2 years later. So he was born May this year.
Okay, so you started the journey in 22, but your daughter came before.
No, sorry. So started the journey in 22. My daughter came in May 22. Sorry, 21. I started the journey in January 21, and my daughter came in May 21.
I think you started with us January 22.
Oh, sorry, you're right. I'm getting my dates completely mixed up. No, you're right. Yeah, so my daughter was already here.
Okay. So
yeah,
what were you doing? Go on.
Yeah, no, yeah. So she was already here, and the energy component was more from when I'm thinking more from when my son was born, actually, because I had a second trigger moment. But so the energy component with my daughter was I'm struggling to stay awake because she's waking up in the middle of the night.
Got it.
And just I remember thinking this daughter of mine only wants to sleep if I do lunges. If I do anything else, she's awake. So I have to do lunges. But even I could only do about 10 lunges, and then I was screwed. I just couldn't do it anymore.
I was sitting there doing the maths. I was like, we're September now. We didn't.
No, yeah, sorry. I was getting confused with my son because what had happened was that so started in January 22, and then in and around August. So I was doing really well, and then in and around August, my wife came pregnant again, and that was a really, really hard pregnancy. We had a lot of scares, we had a lot of challenges, and I was also going through a lot of issues at work. So it meant that I couldn't focus in the same way on my journey. And Ed, my coach, was awesome about it because he was just saying, yeah, look, you got to focus on being a good human being first rather than focusing on anything else. So he was really good about it. And then the second trigger came because I was thinking, I'm starting to go down that death by 1,000 cuts route again, and I'm not having it. So when my son was born, that's when I went all in again.
Got it. So there's like two trigger moments. The daughter being born
Yeah.
spurred you into action. So what were you doing? I know we're kind of bouncing around timelines here, but you said you tried a lot on your own for pretty much a year then. You're trying on your own. What were you doing and where were you getting to in that time?
So I wasn't really getting anywhere because I was, and this is where the sort of internal frustration was coming from, because I was thinking, I feel like I'm putting in all of this effort in, but my weight is still increasing. I'm actually feeling more uncomfortable because I subconsciously thought to myself, I can justify this extra bit of dessert or this extra bite because I'm exercising more than what I was previously. So worst case scenario, I'm maintaining. And I didn't realize even just like a spoon of something, because I love peanut butter, and I know that you guys use peanut butter as an example, but I love peanut butter, and I thought, okay, yeah, this is all right. But yeah, it was just going in the complete wrong direction. And then what I found as well was because I was getting frustrated with that, I was eating to make myself feel better. So it was just complete downward spiral on all fronts.
How much is emotional or stress eating being a part of your life, and why?
So I don't know if it's a pride thing, but I would never admit to myself that I was stressed out. But looking back now, I did find that when I was annoyed about something, struggling with something, upset about something, I did always go to food. It was just something that I had psychologically associated with feeling better. But and it's something that I remember from one of the training sessions that Ivan did was by eating all of this food, it's not actually fixing the problem. The problem still exists. Whatever I'm reacting to emotionally still exists. And me eating this food is making me feel better for all of 2 seconds. But now I've just doubled my problem because I've just consumed more calories than what I needed to. And yeah, it's not actually helping anything.
And as you started this journey and when stressful situations or emotional triggers came up, how were you managing to change your coping strategies accordingly?
What, after starting the journey?
Yeah.
So once I tried to visualize a lot of things. So when I started to go on a calorie deficit, I started to visualize things of if I go past a certain level, I'm just going to try and imagine that I've got fat cells just growing in my body if I go past this level, and that scared the hell out of me. So I thought, okay, I need to come up with another coping. I need to come up with another coping mechanism because that fear is not going to help with coping with anything because I'm scared now. So it's just simple things that I did was just go for a walk. So instead, just go for a walk, get some fresh air, take my mind away from the situation completely, have a conversation. My wife was amazing. So if I was struggling with something, I used to internalize a lot of things because I didn't want her to worry. Whereas now, by having that kind of conversation, it's really helped us grow as well because she understands exactly what I'm going through. Speaking to the coach and the cohorts as well, because I didn't realize that the way that I'm trying to deal with something is very common. I thought it was just me, but it's actually very common. So by having these conversations with the coach and the cohort was really helpful because even if it's just stating the obvious, she's like, oh yeah, why didn't I think about that? That's actually a good way of trying to process this. And that also then meant I was able to get over something a lot faster than what I had done previously and move forward.
Have you got any examples?
Yeah, so like if I was really stressed with deadlines at work, what I might have done previously is just try and get it done and just take it on the chin. And no one necessarily would know that I would be suffering in silence kind of thing. Whereas now I might have the conversation with my wife and she'll say, okay, look, if this is important to you, then this is what we can try and do to free up your time so you're not feeling pressure on yourself with not spending time with me or your kids. Or actually, why don't you just have a conversation with your manager? Your manager has also got a family. They know what it's all about. Tell them what you can and can't do. It's just simple things. And Or yeah, why don't you just go for a walk, clear your mind? You can get into a bit of a meditative state. Don't take any electronic devices with you. Don't take any music. Process whatever you need to process and focus on that, and come back and you'll feel fresher. And that absolutely was the case. It worked.
I think it's really interesting that you said that for so long you were like almost suffering in silence, bottling things up. But when you surround yourselves with similar people, you realize we're going through the same sort of struggles. And I think what you've described there is it's a very masculine problem where you sort of just take it on the chin, bottle up all the stress, and then you're releasing the stress in ways that you're probably not too proud to admit or want to talk about. It's just finding those different mechanisms that can allow you to have an outlet or just deal with the problem head on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And because of that, because you're absolutely right, because of that, I've actually taken some initiatives within my workplace to, because I did a lot of research into this because I thought, there must be loads of other people, even with those that I work with. So what can I do to try and create this environment where people can be open and honest in terms of what they're thinking and feeling? And what I found was by trying to encourage this kind of environment in my team, we've actually got more people speaking up and generating creative, innovative ideas, which has just made productivity and everything so much better than what it had done previously. And I realized that the generic term that goes around is psychologically safe. Everyone's got to feel psychologically safe. So you're not scared to make a mistake, you're not scared to speak up. Whereas people might say, I'm not going to say anything because it gives a bad impression on me because I'm not going to be able to finish something on time, or you're probably thinking I can't manage this workload, etc. Whereas now people are starting to speak up. We're trying to put the right measures in place, and it's been awesome.
How did you do that?
So so we were in a team meeting, and I said, look, everyone, this is something that I struggle with. Does anyone else agree? Or does anyone else go through this? And a few people were started to put their hands up, and I said, okay, we have this shared problem that we've been trying to deal with individually. Let's all put our heads together and think about what we can try and do more. Is it something as simple as just trying to create an open environment where people don't fear that they're going to be anything's going to be held against them, kind of thing? I said, this is what has worked at home for me, so maybe we can try and bring this here, and you can try and also bring it back in your own personal lives. So like I said, it's something as simple as that, and it worked.
Amazing. And I'm assuming that had a direct positive relationship with your food, emotional management, and just sort of that pent up stress was potentially no longer there.
Yeah, because it was almost like if I really want this, I can eat it, but what benefit am I going to have from it?
Mm.
And when I was breaking it down and not just trying to think of that in moment reaction kind of thing, I might have like a 2-second benefit because it tastes nice, but is it worth it? No. That switch in my mind is what changed a lot. To an extent where I was on holiday recently and I was missing my meal plans. I was really missing coming home, doing my batch cooking and eating in the way that I was now comfortable with. It's just like I found things too sweet compared to what I did before, found things too salty compared to what I did before. I was actually really missing being back to my proper structure.
I'm the same. That maybe 4 or 5 days into a holiday, I'm like, I can't wait to eat my normal tofu on toast, my normal lentils and edamame spaghetti, like just the basic meals. Because after a few days, the novelty wears off, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, this is the thing as well, because people say, "Don't you miss it?" Thinking, no, I don't miss it at all, because missing something means that you're almost losing out on something, or you want it, but I don't. So there's nothing to miss.
Mm-hmm. So one thing you mentioned earlier that I really liked was that the actual time to complete a transformation isn't actually that much. Talk us through a typical day in the life of someone who's balancing work, a wife, and two kids under 2 years old, both of them.
Yeah.
That's no mean feat. So walk us through a day in the life of how you do that and manage your own personal fitness goals?
So with those things that you mentioned there, there's a lot of unpredictable variables, and the only thing I suppose you can predict on that is that it's going to happen, and you can't always factor into it. So that means that you need to be open. What I need is to be open-minded and have some flexible thinking of, I might not necessarily achieve what I wanted to do today, but instead of thinking, well, today's a write-off, let me try and do what I can to still be as close to what it is that I do want to achieve for that day. And then it's not always just about what I'm going to be able to achieve on that day, but can I get my average for the week where it needs to be? So if I wasn't able to get my 10,000 steps today, can I increase my step count tomorrow and factor that in somehow? Yes, I probably can, because instead of trying to cram everything into 24 hours, I'm now able to cram it in 48. So that was one thing, is just trying to be open-minded to accept that you're not always going to be able to do what you want to do. Having those conversations with people to set expectations as well. So with my wife, it was obviously very easy because she knew exactly what I needed to do and when. I usually like to do my training in the morning, but if we had an event or something and I couldn't train in the morning, then she would help me allocate some time so I could try and do it later on in the afternoon or in the evening. Again, just simple things like that. But the most important thing that I needed to learn and accept was it was definitely not going to be a linear process. There are going to be times where you're not able to do what you want to do, but 3 steps forward, 1 step back is still 2 steps forward overall, and that's all you need, even if it's just 1 step forward overall. And once I started to accept that, because I'm one of these people that once I want to do something, it needs to be done. I can't hang around and wait. But yeah, but once I've accepted that, I was able to enjoy the journey a lot more as well.
Amazing. I think it's funny how the question was around like timing, but all your answers were around like the way you think about and frame perspective on the day itself. And I think new dad, being a new dad myself, I can totally attest to the fact that being flexible is half the battle. If you have that flexible approach, then you just sort of find a way to get it all done rather than think it has to be the militant schedule you could probably do if you're single and with no kids.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. Having that militant schedule can be really helpful. So yeah, I mean, I would try and allocate as much time as possible. There are things that I might give up on. Well, giving up is the wrong phrase, but choose to not do anymore. So, for example, instead of in the evening watching TV, I might go for a walk.
Yeah.
It's just switching things that I might choose to do, but it's just being open-minded to not always have things go your way.
In fact, militant schedule is probably the wrong word, because it's probably what you said there. It's like giving up the things like, well, not even giving up, just choosing not to watch the TV and do it for a walk instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Create more structure in different areas of the day, whatever it may be. But I think that's a great piece of advice for anyone who's a parent, and also juggling a busy job and a marriage, etc.
Yeah. I mean, to put it into context, and this isn't to blow my own trumpet or anything, but there are times where my job would be expecting me to do 12 to 15 hours a day, 2 under 2. So my son is 4 months old. My daughter's just turned 2 recently. So yeah, highly demanding in terms of my time. And that's why, as I said earlier, people are saying, do you really need to be so militant with calorie counting and getting your minimum 10,000 steps and this, that, blah, blah, blah? But like I said, if it's important to you, you'll find that it's actually very easy to make the time. Like, I don't like always using this example, but you would never not turn up to a meeting. You would never not brush your teeth. I know that the time allocation behind all of that it varies, but you would never not do that because of the implications on your career or your health or whatever. So, but I mean, I don't like using that example because then it turns into an obligatory thing. But with this, in the same mindset, why would I not want to do my 10,000 steps? Why would I not want to stick to my meal plan? and I get to. I have this great opportunity to improve my life and my presence and relationships with my family. I get to do that. So why am I not doing that? Once you get into that mindset, it's very easy to make the time.
Absolutely. And also sometimes at the beginning, it may need to be a obligatory, non-negotiable meeting with yourself. And over time, it will just transition into, like you said, why would I not do it? Because it makes me feel so good. But initially, you might need to have that drilled into you. So, Nico, you lost over 30 kilos in this process. How did you get your head around that much weight that you needed to get off? Because that's not going to happen in 3 months, right? You can't lose 30 kilos in 3 months. So how did you get your head around the fact that you've got a long journey ahead of you?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, because I'm the kind of person that likes to get things done there and then, it was an initial thing of, oh my God, this is going to take ages. But because I'm looking for that lifestyle improvement, lifestyle change, I didn't want it to be a plaster on the wound and just ignore it kind of thing, just like a quick thing. I wanted to make sure that I was fundamentally changing myself for my core why, which was for my kids. So then I was thinking, okay, I don't care how long it takes. It's for them. It's for me and for them. But to help me break it down, to help me comprehend it, I broke it down into chunks. So I thought, okay, instead of me thinking of this magic number at the end, let me stick to what the program says, which is 1% every week. 1% every week is easy. If you're following all of the checkpoints and the things that you need to do, 1% a week is easy. And then I then started to target individual numbers, I suppose, for every 2 weeks and every month. And I found that when I started to see that happening, I was enjoying it a lot more. It didn't feel like a daunting number that was going to be months and months away. I was enjoying it a lot more.
So did you know it was going to be 30, or did you think, 10 kilos and I'll be where I want to be?
Yeah, so my honest thought was it would be max 15, because I remember thinking, okay, I was around 85 when I was in my early 20s, late teens, and I felt like I had all of the energy in the world then. So surely that's where it needed to be. And then when Ed said, yeah, your checkpoint target weight is around 70, 71, I was thinking, what? Surely I'm just going to be skin and bone. So I didn't realize this whole balance of me thinking I had more muscle than what I actually did and less fat than what I actually did. It was the complete opposite way around. So that was a bit of a wake up call.
Yeah, it always is for people, right?
Yeah.
How heavy were they going to be when they're lean? And how did you find the process of getting lean and leaner? Describe some of the big challenges that you faced outside of the newborn coming in the first couple of months.
So my initial concern was, am I going to feel full? And to begin with, I couldn't actually finish my portions, and I've got a pretty good appetite. But because we were obviously focused on more whole foods, that was one thing that I was worried about or trying to get my head around. The next thing was around, okay, if I'm trying to do meal plans, how am I going to find the time to actually cook? Because I'm used to just doing oven food, and batch cooking was amazing. It's just, again, this is such a simple concept. And with the foods that I was cooking, I was thinking, I don't need to do all this fancy stuff. It doesn't need to be like restaurant style type stuff. Actually, what I think I make now, again, without trying to blow my own trumpet, is better than what I can get at a restaurant, because I've learned how to do simple, effective meals. So, but that was another challenge. The biggest challenge was social settings. Because I was used to having that extra pint that people were saying, "Oh, just have another one. Stick around for another one," or "Oh yeah, let's get starters, mains, and dessert. We're here now. Let's just enjoy." So yeah, that was another big challenge, that social piece.
And how did you find how did you find balancing the socials and the drinks? Because I think socials and drinks are potentially the biggest blocker for a lot of people to even get started, because they think, I don't want to give up on my social life. I don't want to give up on the booze. How'd you get your head around that? How have you talked to other people about it when they ask you?
Well, yeah, so it came back to the question of why, or the purpose. What is it that I'm trying to get out of this outing? Is it to catch up and meet with people, or is it to just eat nonstop and drink nonstop? And 9 out of 10 times it was the former. It was to try and catch up with people, be in each other's company, and enjoy a good conversation. I could still have a drink, but it didn't need to be 10 pints. It might be a glass of wine and then sticking to some sparkling water. I'm still able to have the same conversation, and I'm still able to enjoy what I'm consuming. So I didn't need to give up on anything from a social perspective. And then when I shared this concept with the group that I was meeting, they would be mindful of it most would be mindful of it and say, okay, well, if that's what you're looking to do, why don't we chill at home and you can stick with your meal plan, or why don't we go for a walk, or, it doesn't have to be in a restaurant all the time. It doesn't have to be in the pub all the time. There are other things that we can try and do together and still get the same excitement, happiness that we were setting out to get anyway. So that was really helpful.
Perfect. And then at what point did you decide, look, I'm going to do a photo shoot now? I want to take it to the next level and really go all in. Because I don't think that was on the cards originally for the date that it was on the cards for. And things started really accelerating sort of second quarter, third quarter of this year. So talk us through that process of maybe like the back end of 2022 into this year, and then like when it suddenly hit that I'm going to do a photo shoot and go all the way.
So as I said quite a few times with my friendship circle and social media, I'm not one to say that people should look a certain way, which is why I wasn't too fussed about a photo shoot. But I thought, I've worked hard on this, and it would be such an awesome and amazing way to commemorate, and just know that I've been able to push myself, not necessarily just physically, but mentally push myself in getting that kind of physique. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially when you're in the grind phase, you can't take it lightly. And I know from speaking to my cohort and other people that have gone through the photo shoot piece, they felt like they had learnt a lot about themselves in terms of willpower, what they can and they can't do, reducing the brain fog, being able to be more razor sharp focused and things like that. And I thought, well, if I'm doing this journey, I'm saying I'm going all in, but let me actually go all in. Let me see what I can actually learn from this. Yes, the photo shoot, it would be a nice memory, but let me see what I can actually learn from the journey from doing that, because that's ultimately what I'm going to cherish more. And with that, I realized that I can do a lot more than what I think that I can. It's that kind of determination which I never thought that I had in me to achieve something. It was just amazing. I got such a high from it. Not necessarily just the photo shoot. The photo shoot was amazing. And although I was on a calorie deficit, I was on such a high, thinking, wow, I know I can do this, and I feel like I can just conquer the world.
Wow. What did you learn about yourself that you want to take forward going forwards? Like, how have you translated some of those learnings?
So the main thing I've learned is that I need to prioritize in the right way. Work is not the be all and end all. My family is. And I know that people might be thinking, well, surely that's obvious, but it's only when you've gone through something like this where it really, really hits home. I think the other thing that I've learned is, if I set my mind to something, I can achieve a lot, and not just like, oh yeah, I can try. I was never able to do a 5K run. Now I can do a 5K run. It's I can push myself mentally. I've got that kind of resilience to get through tough times and not go down this sort of dark path. And that's exactly what I want to be able to teach my children as well. Yeah, and one thing I did learn as well is that in terms of the people that I thought were my nearest and dearest, some of them weren't actually, because they weren't always that supportive, or they weren't that great, which sounds a little bit dark and morbid, but it was refreshing to almost shed that weight as well. I really liked one of the the analogies that's come through from some of the training sessions. You have people in your lives, some of them are radiators, some of them are drains. And I didn't realize how true that was until going through this journey. And because of that, I just feel so much lighter. I'm not carrying negative energy around me. And because of that, it's just so much more uplifting.
Amazing. Why did the journey teach you that family was number one for you?
Because what I realized was I was focused on work because I was thinking I need to try and earn a certain amount to be able to give my family a certain type of life. But I was focused too much on materialistic things. And what my family wanted more was my time and for me to be present. So although I might be in the room, I wasn't actually present because I was too busy worrying about other things. I was too busy thinking I'm tired, I don't have the energy. And a question was asked of me, which also scared me, was if you were to be on your deathbed today, what would you do differently? Would you worry about this deadline in the same way that you're worried about it? Would you think that chocolate cake that you ate yesterday was worth it? Or would you have rather that you had spent more time with your family and create those kinds of memories? And I thought, yeah, there's no way that I would ever want anything other than happiness around me with my family.
Wow.
Whilst I thought I was doing everything for my family, I wasn't.
And how's it changed your day-to-day living now? What do you do differently?
So I'll make sure that I allocate time. So where beforehand I might be thinking I'm allocating time to do my steps or I'm allocating time to do my training. In the same way, I'm allocating time to spend with my family. And it's not to make it feel like it's an obligatory thing, but it's something I genuinely look forward to having now. So just even having that hour conversation with my wife, which isn't a lot when you think about it, but it's so significant in terms of being able to talk about each other's days. What has she been exposed to in terms of the kids that I've not been able to see because I've been at work, or offloading on things that I've been struggling with and getting her perspective. You just feel free. And I never realized how locked up I was feeling until I started to focus on the family, because by doing that, even just little things like so before this podcast started, my daughter was downstairs dancing, and it's just a simple thing that I know I wouldn't have seen if I was too busy preoccupied on other things. Because my wife's called me out on that before. She said, you've walked past her, you've been in your own little world, and you haven't even noticed that she's smiling and laughing at you. What's wrong with you, kind of thing. And that really hit home as well. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I've missed all of this.
Your wife seems like a superstar.
She's amazing. She is amazing. She really is.
Some of the stuff she's telling you, it reminds me of the stuff I hear as well. Like calls you out honestly, straight up, right? No.
Yeah. She takes no prisoners. But that's what I love.
Every man needs that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How's the physical being the vehicle for you? You personally?
So I do feel like my brain fog has improved. I feel like I can think more clearly. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of mind-body connection stuff going on here, and how I think affects my body, and how my body affects the way I think. So for me, the physical has been the vehicle because it's improved my mental health, and I feel happier. I feel like I can think more clearly. I feel like I can be a little bit more creative. I feel like I can achieve more. I've got the energy to try and achieve more. My relationships around me have changed. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be walking around topless every day. So no one's necessarily going to know what my physical appearance is, but it doesn't matter because I feel it. I feel healthier. I feel like I want to live rather than just exist, which is what I was before. I was existing, whereas now I feel like I'm living.
Amazing. How does it feel to hug your wife now?
Yeah, I love it. It feels like it's just been like I've been missing out on my best friend for so long, and just having something as simple as a hug, yeah, you just feel so much better. And it has improved our relationship as well. Like instead of us almost leading two separate lives and being completely disconnected, by having that kind of hug and having that kind of conversation and just whatever. It feels like we're one again, which is really nice.
Oh, Nikhil, you're making me emotional here. This is very romantic, and I hope your wife listens.
Well, yeah,
I hope your wife listens back to this.
well, she's gonna listen to this if she does listen to this. She's gonna be like, why didn't you tell me this to my face?
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing.
It's really, really good to hear. What almost kept you from starting this journey, from joining?
So the there are, I suppose, a few factors. The first was arrogance. I feel like I can do it myself. I feel like it's straightforward. Like, surely it's just a case of eating more healthily and going to the gym. Whereas eating healthy to me was instead of having 5 packets of crisps, I'll have 2, kind of thing. So the first thing was arrogance. The second thing was, do I really want to invest this much cost? And you don't know what I'm going to say here. So if anyone does listen to this, you don't know what I'm going to say. And this isn't like a selling thing, but I did a lot of research in terms of what I could try and do to help myself in terms of personal trainers, nutritionists, just trying to learn all this kind of stuff. And all of that, the total cost to get all of that with this whole scatter thing was nothing compared to what I saw from R&T. Absolutely nothing. So yeah, so there was the cost factor. And then the third thing was time. Do I feel like I've got the time to actually invest and do this? Like, focus on my nutrition. Do the batch cooking, weighing out all my meals. Like, that feels really tiresome. So those are all the things that were sort of keeping me from trying to join and do this journey.
And then when did you have the idea of like, right, this is not a cost to me. This is now I'm going to invest in myself, time, financially, emotionally.
Well, I mean, I thought to myself, I'm thinking too narrow-mindedly and thinking too short-term, because the lost cost was me still not feeling better, me not having the relationship with my family in the way that I want, me not being able to progress in my career in the way that I want because I just couldn't focus. That was a significantly bigger cost than anything else. And it was literally just as simple as that. It's like, am I willing to lose out on it? And the answer was no. This is actually really cheap compared to anything else, because what I'm getting out of it and what I'm gaining back, I'd happily spend that all day, every day.
That framing of like, what is the cost of inaction is one of the most powerful exercises you can do in any aspect of your life. I think physical health is a big one, but you can do it in anything, careers, relationships. Like, what's the cost of not taking action? And I think you've mentioned it quite a few times, is you almost got scared into taking action. And I think that's sometimes where the biggest transformation happens, where it's like, you just can't stay there anymore. It's too scary to even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time.
So Nikhil, so we wrapped up an internal summer holiday step challenge yesterday. And I saw that you came out on top with 707,000 steps in 30 days or 28 days. How did you manage that?
So, I mean,
that's over 30K a day, right? Sorry, over 20K a day. Well, over 20K a day.
Yeah, it was. I think you're right. I think my average was just over 20K a day.
25K.
I was thinking if similar to what I did when I started this journey was, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly and go all in. And just because the step challenge is finished, I'm still not letting up on that. But I was thinking, what can I do to try and maximize this? How can I get as many steps in as I can? And I thought, well, I enjoy spending maybe half an hour, 45 minutes sitting with my wife, talking, watching TV or something. But whilst I'm doing that, why can't I jog on the spot? I don't need to just sit there. I can just jog on the spot. And that's what I found myself doing. I found myself getting engrossed in a movie that I was really enjoying and just jogging on the spot. I found that my daughter loves being outside, going to the park. Instead of driving, let me walk. So it's just it was just a lot of subtle things. When I was doing a meeting, start walking in my meetings rather than just sitting, because most things were virtual. So just walk.
Fair play.
I was thinking, okay, I'm sitting for this. Do I really need to sit? Probably not. So let me just get moving.
Yeah, fair play. 25K a day is no joke. So fair play to you. Hope, yeah, no, really, really good. And it's probably the perfect timing for you as well, coming into the investment phase and looking forward as well. So what's next for Nikhil?
The next for me is I feel like my journey's just begun, and I know that a lot of people would just say, checkpoint, photo shoot, all that kind of stuff. You've hit your goal, but as we all know, maintaining that kind of physique is not the easiest of things. And I want to see how else I can try and push myself, how else I can mentally push myself. So with that, it's around, I say, muscle growth, different kinds of techniques, different kinds of exercises, not necessarily just pushing weights, but things like yoga or calisthenics or whatever, things like that, and to enjoy it. So instead of it turning into okay, I'm targeting 70, 71 kg and that being the sort of end point, how can I use this as a lifetime journey of just constantly learning about myself and maintaining what I am physically, but mentally just constantly growing. That's my next steps.
Amazing. And what would you say to someone who's at the start of their journey right now, who has potentially 30 kilos to lose and is wondering, they've got the excitement right now, but they're wondering how they're going to go all the way?
So one thing I would say is be prepared to make mistakes, be prepared to and be prepared to learn from it. Have an open mind. Things will not always go your way, but it will work out. As long as you persevere, be patient, you will love it. There is no chance that you will regret completing or doing this journey at all.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the open and honest conversation. I really appreciate you being so transparent. Very few people
That's all right.
will be, open enough to share some of the things you have, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of people, especially men who are listening to this and feel that same sort of feelings that you had many years ago. It's really good to see how far you've come, and hearing you talk about your wife and your family like that is really, really cool. I'm curious, have you spoken to your dad about your transformation since going on this? Because I know you said his conversation with you was one of the trigger points.
Yeah. So I mean, he's seen me go through my journey and everything, and I think he is excited because he's probably thinking to himself that the lessons and everything that he taught me, or the things that he was able to share with me, he's been able to encourage me to now have with my own kids. It's almost like for him, it's like I've passed something on, which is really nice. I've had that kind of impact onto my grandchildren now. Yeah, so he's super excited by it.
Amazing. Thanks so much for coming on, Nikhil.
No worries. Thank you.